I got a Daisy feeling. I got a Daisy feeling. Yeah.
Okie dokie, here we go. Part 3 of Rocket Singh, Salesman of the Year. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for coming back. Really appreciate that. And if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 of our reaction, you should, so you can get the full context for this reaction that you're about to watch. Now, if you want to watch the whole movie with us, no cuts, no interruptions, head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/JABYBHAI, or become a member of this channel. You'll get access to the full uncut reaction, but you will need your own copy of the film, so you can open it up. In an adjacent window to our reaction, we'll give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown sync, and it'll be like you're watching it with 2 of your favorite pals, favorite Cinedesi fans from the internet, favorite knuckleheads, favorite jokers. Okay, let's go. Let's jump back into this. Here we go.
हम सर्विस भी करते हैं. We build relationship, sir. Best service हमारे इंडिया में.
कितने लोग हैं?
छोटी सी टीम है सर. तो सर कभी मिलते हैं हमारे एग्जीक्यूटिव से पर्सनली.
अभी
तुम कल के चूजे सुनील पुरी को बेवकूफ बना लोगे.
Oh, they all. Oh, damn.
Yeah, we must have had to confess to that point.
इस कंपनी के एक भी क्लाइंट को हमने टच नहीं किया और बाकी आपकी कंपनी की जो फैसिलिटीज हमने यूज की है ये उन सबका अकाउंट है जिसकी पेमेंट हम वैसे भी आपको करने वाले थे. ये राज.
तो मुझे चेक देगा.
It's gonna rip it up.
Yep. I mean, they didn't steal any of their clients. What's the crime? Espionage? It's bad timing.
But technically, I don't think there's anything that can stick to them.
ये चोरों वाले काम करने की क्या जरूरत है?
चोरों वाले काम ही तो नहीं सिखाया आपने. चोरों वाले काम सिखा देते तो आज मुझे चोर नहीं बनना पड़ता.
What are the charges?
In addition, you accept and acknowledge that you will not engage in the computer business formally or informally, either as a company or as an employee for a period of
3 years? 1 second, what is this rubbish? मतलब क्यों साइन कर?
चल यहाँ से. We'll think of something. क्या कर रहा है? मैं कह रहा हूँ ना कुछ सोच लेंगे.
सिर्फ मेरी बात नहीं है, ऐसा है 4 लोग और भी थे जिन्होंने मेरी बात मानी थी.
क्या सीखा तू? क्या सीखा बच्चे? कि आदमी को अपनी औकात में रहना चाहिए. अपना फुल एंड फाइनल कॉम्पनसेशन तो ले जा भाई.
Wow, what a jerk.
हाँ सर, वो बड़ी न्यूज आ गई सर. हैं जी? अब तो ब्रांड हो गए. अब तो आएंगे इन्वेस्टर हमारी कंपनी में.
Are the clients still gonna want to stay with?
Hell no. Three years. Gosh, that's a long time.
तुमने कंपनी बेच दी?
यस सर.
I didn't think you were the type, Harpreet. Are you sure तुमने सही डिसीजन लिया है?
That guy looks like what's his name from Lord of the Rings? Sam.
Sean Astin?
Sean Astin, yeah. That's interesting that they made their own original logo smaller. Oh, they replaced her?
I think they got rid of all of them.
Got a kid? Oh, man. Shit.
मिला ठीक है. ऑर्डर कब ला रहे हो?
थोड़ा अलग ही किस्म का एक्सपेक्टेशन है सर इनका. पता नहीं क्या क्या मांगते हैं सर.
हाँ.
ये कुमार गिरी की जगह सर्विस वगैरह चलती रहेगी और सेल्स वालों की हेल्प करो जो असली काम.
Of course, sir.
Is he gonna realize he needs them?
What? Oh.
they just would have got rid of that dang line.
ब्रांड तो आते जाते रहेंगे लेकिन जिस ब्रांड का कंप्यूटर हम आपको देंगे ना मैं आपको कन्विंसिंगली एक बात मेरी
Yeah, he feels like he's talking to a salesman now instead of a person. Hey, you can't run the company without them.
You know, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple,
Yeah, the company he built.
and then he had to be pulled back in to save it.
That's got to be the most deflating thing, being let go of the company you built.
सर ये वजाहत का ऑर्डर नहीं आएगा सर इन रॉकेट वालों के 2-3 और क्लाइंट्स भी कुछ अच्छे नहीं लग रहे सर
They ain't gonna get any of their orders.
What happened to all their previous clients?
They're not getting the same service. They don't want their order.
No, the previous clients from AOIS.
Oh.
Before the merge.
Might have the name, but if your service sucks, it doesn't matter. Nah, he's gonna be a beggar to him. Now they're gonna have to work together.
आपने रॉकेट कॉर्पोरेशन का नाम तो खरीद लिया लेकिन उसके लोग छोड़ दिए आप बेवकूफ बन गए
He can't say anything. I need him.
पुरी साहब एक दिन था जब आपके तरीकों ने इस बिजनेस की ज्योग्राफी बदल दी थी बुरा मत मानना पर आपके बिजनेस करने के तरीके
Seriously,
हिस्ट्री हो चुके हैं
like dinosaurs. He just bought a company that no one wants to do business with anymore. All right, make the call, dude. You need him back. Livewire? Oh, I can't wait to hear this conversation.
है क्या तुझ में है क्या जिससे बेवकूफ बनाता है तो सबको 10 साल से कंप्यूटर बेच रहा हूं उससे पहले 10 साल फैक्स और उससे पहले 5 साल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक टाइपराइटर
Dang.
लेकिन एक गलती कर गया जिसे कंपनी में रखकर सेल्समैन ऑफ द ईयर बनाना चाहिए था उसे बाहर करके कंपेटिटर बना ली गलती करी मजा आया चल वापस देता हूं तेरी जॉब तुझे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट की जगह खाली है
Whoa.
Damn.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
आपने मेरी कंपनी छीन ली कोई बात नहीं आपकी कंपनी से ही निकली थी और आपकी कंपनी में ही वापस चली गई नो प्रॉब्लम लेकिन जो मैं सीखा हूं वो आप नहीं छीन सकते और उससे मैं 10 और कंपनियां खड़ी कर सकता हूं और करूंगा
Exactly.
विश मी बेस्ट ऑफ लक सर आपकी तरह तो बन नहीं सका
Wow.
तेरे कस्टमर मेरे लोगों से नहीं समझेंगे इतना समझने का दिमाग है मेरा और एक कल का लौंडा मुझे हरा गया इतना मानने की हैसियत है मेरी
Good. Okay. Negotiate.
1 रुपया है
He kept the one that was given to him.
Oh, the one he put in his pot in his shirt. Yeah.
मुंह से बोलूं तू जीत गया मैं हार गया जब खून पसीना एक साथ कागज पर छपता है ना भूख प्यास भूल जाती है बाल बच्चे रुल जाते हैं तब जाके सली कंपनी बनती है और वो खैरात में नहीं दी जाती खास तौर पर मेरे जैसे आदमी को तेरी जिंदगी का सबसे बड़ा सबक दे के जा रहा हूं ये जो तू करता है वो बिजनेस है या नहीं मुझे नहीं पता लेकिन बिजनेसमैन मत बनना कभी फिर बिक जाएगा I'll see you in the field.
You tear up the tear up the contract. That he signed?
The one that says he can't be on the field for 3 years.
Yeah.
He must if he said I'll see you on the field.
That was an interesting choice.
To just have him disappear on screen like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna finish his shift.
Yeah, no, I know. He's a man of principle. I don't know if we're gonna get to see the scene of him getting them together, but we know obviously they did.
Wow. Super official. Wow, look at him.
He looks good. He's got his suit clothes on. That's a cool shot going around. I love it. Oh, sell me the pencil. Yeah. Dude, they're gonna kill it. Ah. Very cool.
Yo, that was a great movie. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it quite a bit. That was inspiring. I mean, I think that it's unrealistic in a number of ways, but it's still very inspiring. It's just a tale of like rising above all of the challenges, you know, overcoming all these obstacles, especially with like, he is literally David and Goliath. He's such an underdog in this story. It's so cool to see him take on this giant corporation like this right from under their noses. The idea that you could just like, you could build this little thing and it totally levels this huge company with an already established user base and clientele and all that stuff. I don't think that's possible. Maybe I'm being small-minded. Like just the idea of it in this like contained story is super cool, and I think that there's a lot of gems of ideas to take from this, because along his journey he's going through all these hurdles and lessons and, you know, dealing with whatever, but it got my heart because I'm like, I just want to see them win, you know?
Of course.
And the way they have that huge setback, the hero loses it all moment, the Joseph Campbell, and then overcoming that. I just wish that there was some way where the seeds were already planted, because the boss had to, like, he realized he could compete with what was established by rocket sales, right? So it was sort of a beast of its own that Harpreet had created. But it would have been neat if there was a way that he like had to come up with a way to beat his boss. But I did like what he said a lot, where it's like, you know, what I've learned, I can make 10 more of these companies. Okay, you got that one, but that's just one. I can do it again and again and again and again. It's about the information you take with you in order to, you know, build again. And I thought that was great. There's a lot of things in here I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so real in some ways. Even though I think that the whole is kind of unrealistic, there's like a lot of things that you experience when you're building a company. And I think that they covered a lot of that really, really well.
At the beginning, I wouldn't say the film was dragging, but took its time just, you know, setting everything up, just, you know, making him feel like the forgotten man in work. And then once the plot really got set going, like I was just fully invested and fully on board. Obviously, I really felt for him, what he was going through. We can all feel for, you know, starting at a new company, doing cold calls. Like I remember doing that. I hated that so much. Also, too, the feeling of embarrassment, how his boss made him feel. I wouldn't say he made a mistake, but I mean, just in terms of not knowing how to play the politics of how it works at, you know, with work, with making the complaint with one of their bigger clients.
Yeah.
And then, you know, getting ridiculed by everyone at work. You know, I can understand how that must have felt. I was really invested in these characters, and I also love what this film just, you know, how it was just telling about, it's not about sales. I mean, yes, you know, you got to sell yourself, you know, but it's about how you talk to people, how you deal with people, and you know, how you treat them like people, not like a used car salesman, if you will. It's, you know, so I think there was some really important messaging there. Like, and that's anything in life. You're not just selling your product, you're selling yourself. And that's what I took away from this film, which, you know, there were some really important lessons there in that. And again, that comes on anything you do, whether that's dating someone, whether that's getting a job, whatever, you're selling yourself. The person has to trust you if they're going to do any kind of service with you, or if they're going to date you, whatever the case may be. I mean, I thought all the performances were great, but I really, the standout for me was that boss.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah. He played that part very well. It was exceptional, because almost like in Whiplash with J.K. Simmons. Like,
yes, I was thinking that a little bit. Yeah.
Because in the beginning, J.K. Simmons seems like Miles Teller's friend. He's like, oh yeah, just take it easy, whatever. And then he throws the
chair
at his, or the chair at his head.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, that's who that guy really is. He's very cutthroat and dangerous. To see him make that transition and then see him go through like the frustration when he realizes that AWS, or whatever the name of the company is losing out to rocket sales, and his frustration, like that monologue he had in the conference room and trying to like get to the bottom of it, his little victory lap that he was doing, or when he paid Harpreet the coin, like all as, and then like fessing up and being like, you won, you beat me. And all of that stuff, like every scene he had was strong. And it was strong because like of what he was bringing to it. And I don't recall ever seeing him do anything else besides this movie. If I have, I just don't remember him. But I thought his acting was just so strong. Ranbir Kapoor did an excellent job in the lead. Like I felt for him and I bought into his journey because of what he was bringing to the role.
Yeah, no, I loved how he's a man of principle. He wasn't going to let the company change him in any way. He was going to be an honest, good man. And I like that nothing, you know, again, he wasn't going to change, but just he was a man of principle and honor, and he was going to embellish that onto his business and onto his clients as well as his team. And like those are characters I can get behind, I can root for. And I was truly, even the guy who was his boss originally and then joined the team, like I get why they had to let him join the team, but I wasn't sure I was going to be on board with that. But then once he started getting the other partner like dressed up and then started working with the team, I was like, okay, I'm on board. I love this team.
I thought that was such an interesting move because the thing about it is when you first are introduced to him, he's such a jerk and you're like, why would you ever want to work with this guy ever?
Yeah.
But then to realize like all of this is a mask because of layers of being hardened, you know, from years of being in that business and seeing what other people were doing and feeling like you had to replicate the not so up and up in moves that are not like really moral, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like having to do these kind of shady tactics in order to get ahead to eventually becoming this, you know, person in a powerful position.
Yes.
And you realize like that's not who he was at the beginning. Like I'm not gonna say it's true for everybody because some people are just inherently jerks. But what I often tell people is like a lot of guys who are like assholes when it comes to dating weren't always assholes. They were created from bad experiences, and they realize that by being an asshole, they are able to get their way. And that's how they just end up staying on that course instead of being a nice guy. I feel like so many assholes when in the dating pool used to be nice guys. He used to be the nice dude, just like Rocket Singh, but then he got hardened, you know?
Yeah, it's a cutthroat business.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll harden you or spit you out.
And it's so interesting that he was introduced back to his former self through what is ostensibly a young version of himself. I thought that was such a cool arc for him. You know, he became a totally different person that I wasn't expecting to see.
You know, they didn't make Harpreet this amazing salesman at first. Like, he had to really learn the ropes, if you will, too. Obviously, it wasn't about, like, being a sleazy salesman, but just learning how to, you know, communicate, like, and be fair and honest with people. I mean, he was already that way from the beginning. It's not like he had, like, this existential crisis where he just suddenly changed or anything. Of course not. I guess you can call it the hero's journey, if you will, for this type of film.
Oh, it totally was. It totally was.
Yeah, but because I'm not a big fan when, like, the hero can put on the Iron Man suit and already knows how to use the suit or is already an amazing salesman. I like going on that journey with them and seeing them grow and you know, that underdog story where they're able to, you know, get above the fray. It's basically an impossible task of trying to, you know, get up from under this company and what he tried to do. But again, you say it was unbelievable. Of course, I actually agree with you.
I bought into it.
No, but I bought into it. I mean, it was really genuine and like I was so on board and not once in my head was like, all right, I don't buy any of this for a sec. I mean, was it the most realistic thing? I don't know. I don't know if this could happen in real life. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't care. I was so invested in what was happening and the characters. Again, I was enjoying what I was watching, and I thought all the performances were great. The characters were really rich, and they were really fleshed out really nicely for the most part.
So the writer of this movie, his name is Jaideep Sahni, and he does both music and writing.
Oh, wow.
And for Let's Go India, or Chakta India is the proper name, he wrote it, but he also did the music? Am I looking at that correctly? Yeah, he did the music, or he did lyrics at the very least for Chakta India. It's just interesting, because Chakta India is also a very, very strong film that I liked quite a bit. I don't know what else I've seen from Shimit Amin, the director. Oh, he directed Chakta India. It's another great film you should check out. I wanted to see what he's done, because I really appreciate the style.
Yeah, there was a lot of really interesting shots, a lot of POV shots, a lot of ways the camera was set up and angled, and then a lot of circling around shots as well. I mean, yeah, I agree.
The thing is, there was a lot of heart in the way that this story was told, and you can feel that. Like, the way he shot it was very, like, you could just feel the storytelling happening in a good way. What I got from this was that the writer and director really cared about this story that they were telling. Even though I didn't agree with all the choices of the camera angles and whatever, I liked that this director had a vibe. There was a style to this particular director's approach in this story, and I thought that was cool. Even if I didn't like all the shot choices or whatever, all the editing choices, I thought that there was a very cool style to the whole movie that just works. And then I want to shout out Amol Parashar. Mostly am experienced with him from TBF back in the day. For those of you who've been with the Jabster a really long time, then you know what I'm talking about, because we used to do TBF reactions. And Amol Parashar is an actor who either used to or does work with them a lot. And I got to snap a selfie with him ages ago when I was in Mumbai for the last time.
Did he work in the office?
No, he was the lawyer.
Oh, the lawyer, the friend. The friend was
yeah.
the lawyer. Okay, yeah, he was great too.
And so, yeah, super cool guy, very, very nice, and very talented actor. I think that Diljit Dosanjh did do some kind of a movie where he was like a knock-on-door salesman. It just wasn't this, and I just confused the two, because remember I was saying that at the beginning?
Yeah,
I don't remember the name of that movie, but it was just funny because I mixed up the two.
I'm sure they'll let you know in the comments section.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure that, someone left that on video one. The music was also cool. I thought it helped to, move the story along. There was nothing that stood out to me as like, I gotta hear that track again. But I just thought it fit well with the movie as a whole. And the coolest thing for me is just how inspiring this kind of tale is.
Yes.
I don't know if it's actually motivated anybody to start their own business or make certain moves, but I think that if it helps at least a few people out, that's awesome.
Of course.
That's a job well done. Like, it certainly motivated me. I'm like, with all these people who were just against him and bullying him with the paper planes and stuff like that and just trying to shove him out the door, he was like, you know what? I'm going to one-up all of you. I'm going to go around the system and make my own. And it takes a really, really brave and ballsy person to do that. Like, he couldn't see his own limitations. And I think that sometimes when you're too smart, you end up kind of screwing yourself because you are aware of your limitations, and it screws you up. Whereas if you don't know your limitations, you can, shoot for the moon, and you might get there. That's the crazy thing, is like, he had ambition and he had confidence to do it. And that's really like 90% of the work right there.
Yeah.
And then he assembled a team because he's like, I can't do all of this. I got to cut other people in, and he was very generous. You got to be very careful with that. Don't take that lesson from this movie. Like, you have to be
20%.
Yeah,
20%.
you got to be careful with that stuff. I mean, it was obviously a very idealistic film.
Yeah.
But he wanted to build a team. And that is very smart because you can't go it alone. You can't take all the credit. You can't take all the money. You have to be willing to make those sacrifices to get ahead. And being willing to give portions out like that, he's like, I don't need all the money. I just need my chunk. And then we'll all share it together. And then a rising tide lifts all boats, or whatever the saying is.
20% of something huge is better than 100% of nothing.
Yeah.
So, and also too, I loved how resilient he was, because you mentioned all the people, again, ridiculing him at work, being called a zero by his boss in front of their biggest clients, and just, again, being ostracized at work. Again, those are the type of characters I can back and get behind and root for. And this was a very uplifting film, and it was extremely well paced. After, again, the plot started really getting going, just really, really tight and well paced.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, it got me rooting for everybody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And if a movie is getting me to root for the characters, I think it's
not easy to get you to root for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know that's doing their job when you're rooting for them.
Yeah, and then the setbacks are also interesting because you need that in your story.
Yes.
Like, you get on board with these characters, you fall in love with them, you fall in love with their journey.
Yes.
And then they have these crazy setbacks that we're like, oh no, don't make that. And then it goes wrong, but then like in the end, it all manages to work itself out. So,
but also too, I think that's what humanizes them when they make these kinds of mistakes. You're like, okay, I mean, yes, it can be frustrating when you're watching as a viewer because we've got the luxury of watching it from a screen. Like, don't do that. But also too, when we're put in those types of situations and we're sleep deprived or whatever the case was, it's like, don't like that decision was made, but I can understand why that happened, and I can sympathize and be empathetic towards. They're working 2 jobs, they're starting a new company, they're doing a million different things. I get it, and again, that just humanizes the characters, makes them more realistic.
Last thing I want to ask you about before we close this out is, how did you feel about the relationship with his grandpa?
I liked it a lot. I mean, it was obviously a very important relationship to him. I mean, he didn't want to disappoint him in any way. I mean, they didn't focus, it wasn't like a very humongously, big thing in the film in terms of focus, but, in the points when they did focus on it, you could tell it was kind of ripping, Harpreet apart a little bit when his grandpa basically called him a thief. So, I mean, I liked that angle and aspect of it. Again, it wasn't too big of a focus on the film, but from what they did show, I liked the relationship that him and his grandpa had together. I liked that You know, at the beginning, it was more like, hey, did you do this? Are your bowels clean? I just thought, again, just relating wise, it was understandable, you know, his grandfather not knowing all the facts, like calling him a thief like that and just being so disappointed in him. Yeah. And then I really love at the end that he made him a part of the company, a partner, like in finance, I think I saw that it was. So, yeah. I mean, I like the relationship. What did you think about that?
I thought it was cool, man. I liked it. I think it helped with the overall, I don't know what you want to call it, just giving the story heart. Yeah. You know, I obviously, like, there are some Indian specific things within their relationship, Punjabi specific things, right? But I thought that there was enough there for me to access that I was able to get on board with and buy into their relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think that while the movie did start on the slower side, I think for the most part, you had very efficient storytelling going on here. I mean, it was 2.5 hours. It wasn't like bloated in any way. It was just like kind of slower pace compared to what we're used to from today's films. But I think overall, it still told the story in the most efficient manner possible in order to get us on board and get us to want to root for them to win. I'm sorry. Anyway, I haven't eaten breakfast. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I'm JABYBHAI. This is
Andrew Flash Gordon.
Peace out.